What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a little bit of a hypothetical rebuild that we talked about in last week's Carolina Panthers franchise, where I want to switch these two and just see how different the narratives could potentially shift to someone that had Bryce Young as the #1 quarterback in this year's draft class. If you're looking at it from more of a casual perspective, you're going to assume that Bryce Young, a little bit of a bust, a little concerned whether or not he's going to be able to make that jump from college to the pros, given how much he and the Carolina Panthers have struggled. That's kind of without context. Whereas you look at CJ Stroud, you're like, wow, he's pretty much locked up Offensive Rookie of the Year like 5 weeks into the season. He has been revolutionary with the Texans and everything that they got going on in their rebuild. They look like a legitimate wild card, if not divisional contender, especially if the injury that we just saw last night or a couple nights ago to Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, I mean, that might, give the Houston Texans a path to winning that division, and that is on the back of CJ Stroud, who's even got a little bit of shouts for a potential MVP candidate. So what if in this scenario, Bryce Young goes to a better landing spot, much more conducive to developing a young quarterback? What if the Carolina Panthers traded multiple draft picks to come up to #1 and select CJ Stroud, who is an 81 superstar quarterback? Will there be a surprise here? Will we see CJ Stroud with a worse landing spot still put up big time numbers, still play like an MVP? Will we see Bryce Young hit the ground running with the Houston Texans in a way that maybe he just wasn't afforded to, the talent not around him in Carolina? Well, we're going to find this one out. In 5 seasons, what if the Panthers got Stroud, the Texans got Young? Who is better? All right, first, let's see what CJ Stroud looks like here in Carolina. But before we look at individual players, it needs to just be said the difference in coaching staff. I gave Frank Reich another opportunity for this video because obviously what he did for my Philadelphia Eagles in 2017. But, I mean, on paper, it didn't look like there was going to be a gigantic difference between the Panthers roster and the Texans roster. Both people are, there's bottom 10 offenses, not a lot of supporting cast. However, the reality is the coaching staffs, I think, can make these offenses work, and just utter failure in Carolina. That's why Frank Reich got fired. Frank Reich had an incredibly stale offense, didn't elevate anybody, and kind of exposed how weak this roster actually is. When Adam Thielen is really the only weapon you have on your offense, you're going to have a bad time. No disrespect to Thielen, but he's should be a wide receiver 2 at best. And he's really the only legitimate option to throw the football for Bryce Young. That's just not good enough. You paid money to bring Miles Sanders over from the Philadelphia Eagles. Doesn't look good. Arguably, Chuba Hubbard is the more talented back in that backfield. You got Ike Ekwonu, who we thought is a franchise tackle. Some games he looks like it. Other games looks like, well, the only way this guy's going to cut in the NFL is to kick inside the guard. That is worrisome. Maybe that's down to coaching staff. You got Jonathan Mingo, was kind of a hyped rookie. Myself personally, I thought he was going to be an absolute stud. Still could be. But there's been no development. There's been no upside to his game. They're not helping him out. They're not putting him in a position to succeed the same way that the Houston Texans are doing with Tank Dell. They are failing Bryce Young on every level in Carolina this year. Not enough talent around him. No coaching staff that's elevating this talent or scheming up ways to make this lesser talent roster great the way the Houston Texans are. So luckily for this side of the rebuild with CJ Stroud, at least, he gets almost a 10-point overall difference in terms of starting point ahead of Bryce Young, because this obviously is going to be a competition. So we're going to have, a little less worry about CJ Stroud's development, and we can focus a little bit more on this rebuild on building the talent around CJ Stroud here in Carolina, because the talent is severely lacking. Now let's take a look at the Houston Texans offense. We've already talked about the coach, massive coaching advantage here on the Houston side of things. So that is going to help out with Bryce Young, who is starting at about a 10-point overall decrease than CJ Stroud, but the offense around him is not even really that comparable. The run game, the 1-2 punch here, Singletary and Dameon Pierce, much better. Advantage Houston if you're comparing it to the Carolina Panthers. The offensive line, advantage Houston, probably slightly. I'm not saying that the offensive line here in Houston is elite, but Shaq Mason is a baller. Larry Tunsil is a top 5 tackle in the NFL, and the interior guys are good enough. Dalton Schultz, massive advantage to the tight ends here in Houston, as Schultz has become a big-time safety net go-to, especially in the red zone for CJ Stroud, and hopefully the same for Bryce Young. The receiving core, how does Nico Collins are still on a normal depth? This guy is balling this year. He's going to go over 1,000 yards. Absolutely needs a depth trade increase. You got Mechie, you got Woods, you got Noah Brown has had some big games, but Tank Dell, who, at least in this scenario, is not having that season-ending injury. He was insane. I mean, how many times are we going to watch players ball out, dominate at the Senior Bowl, and still just slip through the draft cracks? Like, Tank Dell should have been a second-round pick. Dominated at the Senior Bowl. And some of the clips that they were showing from his one-on-ones, he just had incredibly unique breaks that he was doing, like, he was doing spin moves and shit to get open, like stuff I've never seen before. And on top of that, was like unstoppable and uncoverable at Houston. Yeah, size concerns at 5'10", 165. Maybe that's why we're seeing some of the injuries with the smaller player like him. But, you know, same with A-Chain in Miami. You sneeze the wrong way, A-Chain's out for 2-3 weeks. These are slightly niche players, and you got to utilize them in specific ways to prolong and prevent injuries. But Tank Dell, an absolute baller, and going to be much more of a threat long-term for this rebuild, for this development, for this challenge, than, say, the weapons that now CJ Stroud has in Carolina with, like, Thielen and Mingo and stuff like that. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, that is going to definitely give somewhat of an advantage to Bryce Young in this competition. Didn't really talk about the defenses that much. I mean, we are going to primarily focus on the offense. But, you know, again, both defenses, Carolina and Houston, somewhat similar, have their fair share of star players. Will Anderson on Houston, Brian Burns on Carolina. You got J.C. Horn, the Horn Dog, on Carolina. Here we got Derek Stingley, who's playing his best football. So I think pretty even in terms of defense. Offensively, though, that's where the challenge comes. Throw who you think is going to be better, because I know we've played enough of this game to know that there's not really an advantage when it comes to the playbook. A lot of times in this, you can say, well, we know Team A has a better sim playbook, so whoever you have in Team A is probably going to be better. I think Carolina and Houston, very similar. Not brutal playbooks, not S-tier playbooks. They're somewhere in between, which I think will give us a good idea when all is said and done who really is the better quarterback, at least in the context of Madden. So without further ado, let's get into year one. So I just decided to send the midway point, year one. Right? We're going to treat this the same way we treat any other rebuild, and look at the records. Very surprising. 3-3 for CJ Stroud and the Panthers. 0-6 for Bryce Young and the more talented Houston Texans roster. Taking a look at the offense, Houston has the 32nd, the worst offense in the NFL. Carolina, not much better, but we have a little bit more success with the quarterback spot. Taking a look at the base stats here, CJ Stroud, not great in terms of yards, but he's almost top 10 in passing touchdowns this year. 10 tutties to 2 interceptions. Taking a look at Bryce Young there in the 0-6 Texans. Truly disgusting numbers. Under 1,000, 3 touchdowns to 6 picks. That is brutal. So we can at least sit front row here, play the most. This might be the only time we have Carolina and Houston match up here as the Texans look for their first victory of the season. Hell, Bryce Young looks to try to throw more touchdowns than interceptions when all is said and done. So let's just see what happens here in this matchup of two solid teams. Carolina and CJ Stroud strike first to go up 7-0. And it's just been nothing, man. I don't think Houston has even been across the 50. There they go. They get a little bit of a breather touchdown to get on the board before halftime, but Carolina is kind of proven they are the more superior squad right now. And I'm not going to be too harsh where these guys play at in year one. Both these rosters are going to need some TLC. They're going to need some help in free agency. They're going to need me to draft particularly well for two different franchises to put these quarterbacks in the best place. I just am very, very surprised that there is this big of a gap between these two teams here in year one. And when they meet up, well, it's not even comparable. Not a bad game by Bryce Young. 62% completion percentage, 200 yards, and a touchdown. But CJ Stroud just playing on another level. 3 passing tutties, 200 yards. It's not how you start, it's how you finish, and where these teams are rounding up year 4, year 5. But to start this one out, man, I am very, very surprised it's this lopsided in favor of CJ Stroud on the Panthers. So the end of year one, both teams honestly disappointed a little bit, but none more than the Texans, man. Pathetic. One of the worst offenses, not arguably pound for pound, the worst offense in the league. We finish with, as you can see behind the old webcam here, 2-15, which is it's bad. That's pretty bad there. I mean, Bryce, I don't know. That's just 19 touchdowns, 20 picks. There's no other way to really cut it. That is not good. Good news is he does have a superstar dev. Matt didn't go in and nerf it. Hopefully he doesn't lose it. He probably will after this first year and get knocked down to a star and make it just that much more difficult for him to kind of pan out here. Rest of the offense, Didn't do him any favors, though. Nico Call, respectable, but Tank Dell does not have the level of connection that he has with Bryce Young, that he has with CJ Stroud, IRL. Taking a look at the Panthers in this situation. I thought they were going to be playoff bound. They finished with a 7-10 record, which not much better, to be honest. I was kind of hoping we would get a roll here early on. That's like, well, but both these offenses are fired up. Both these offenses are playing. And CJ Stroud finishes with 31st in passing yards. And at one point in time was generous. We'll round it up. Top 10 in passing touchdowns. I guess overall for a rookie, not brutal. 23 touchdowns to 10 picks, especially knowing the supporting cast around him. Not brutal year to Miles Sanders. Adam Thielen as our top wideout. Got literally nothing from Mingo. Nothing. Shout out to wide receiver 4. Gets 0 catches all year long. The sim is not broken. But I think it's fair to say, while we have a little bit of a slight advantage in terms of year one with CJ Stroud, overall, none of these guys look like world beaters. None of these guys look like MVP candidates. Sure as shit, not CJ Stroud in Carolina. So we need to do a lot of work here this offseason. I know one piece of business we need to handle for both these squads, though. We need to fire our offensive coordinators and get two that have quarterback guru. I don't know if they're both going to be available right away, but we need to give both these QBs that extra little boost. So we're going to go Glenn Powers. I don't like that he already has stats spent because it might be going down the side that we don't want. Of course it is. So we are going, where's the refund? How do I refund? Reset. We're going to have to do that here. We're going to reset quarterback guru. Real quick there. Spend 10 points. No harm, no foul. And then we're going to work our way down this side. This is how we're going to help both of these quarterbacks. I strongly recommend for any and all rebuilds. If you are... I don't even think this is cheesy, to be honest with you. This is just clearly knowing what you want in an offensive coordinator. Just do this. It is +3 short, +3 mid, +3 deep, +3 throw power for you. The most important player in your franchise, in your rebuild. Why wouldn't you want to use this if you could? Luckily, literally, there's only one other one available, but we have Kevin McGovern here, quarterback guru, to help out Bryce Young and the Houston Texans. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Luckily, in the case of this company, I want to do the refund because he's already smart and realizes, hey, let's not work on my quarterback's play action pass and stupid stuff like that. Let's actually get the attributes that are going to help him develop, and we need that definitely here in Houston. As far as dev traits are concerned, in closing, Bryce Young did not lose his superstar, which I think between both teams, that was going to be our big worry. But no one went up dev trait on the offensive side of the ball for the Houston Texans in this down year. On the defensive side of the ball, the exact same. I think we got some love here in terms of devs for our linebackers and Jimmy Ward up to superstar. But we're really focused on the offense here in this video and nothing here helping for a very bad season for the Houston Texans. Same can be said here for the Carolina Panthers. No dev traits up or down on the offensive side of the ball. Definitely want Mingo to get a lot more reps going into year 2 for this offense. Defensively, we saw the classic teams are terrible in the 3-4 sim. So Brian Burns lost his superstar, but we did gain a superstar on both Jeremy Chin and Dante Jackson, which that leaves me just out of curiosity because we are using 2 rookies at the quarterback spot. Who the hell won Rookie of the Year? I can't even look at the yearly awards. That sense, I mean, we could probably guess who won it really quickly. So it definitely wasn't a quarterback. Was it a running back? I'm going to say definitely wasn't a running back either. Was it a wide receiver? Oh, there you go. I'm guaranteed it was Rashee Rice. Guarantee. Show me the Rookie of the Year so we can move on. And there you go. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Congrats to you, sir, and not one of our 2 quarterbacks. Going into free agency, from the Texans side of things, Christian Wilkins is the only player that we bid on. But from the more work needs to be done, I think, for the base roster. You can't really look at just the record because I think in terms of roster, Houston is a better roster than we have here in Carolina. I'm going to look. Travis Words get me Cole Hardman as a nice little wide receiver, gadget-type player, and Ezra Cleveland on the offensive line. And we swing and a miss. Wow, on the wide receiver, we do get Ezra Cleveland, which is a nice get. And Christian Wilkins sticks his nose up at the Texans and goes to the Vikings for some reason. So both these teams got to do a lot of work here in the upcoming draft. One of them doesn't have. Actually, both these teams don't. Do they? They don't have crazy draft assets, I don't think. With Carolina not having a first-round pick, luckily the Texans were bad enough that they get a top 10 selection here at pick 7. And I will say, for the sake of this rebuild, I do want to focus on the offense if there's, like, all things equal, kind of a tiebreaker if you need to. And offensive tackle is a big need for the Texans here at pick 7. We need a right tackle. You could also make the argument that we might need a defensive tackle as a big priority, but looking at the offensive tackles that are available, didn't do great job scouting because we got literally no valuable information from these 2 first-round picks. And the fact that they're so limited makes me a little bit worried about the value there. But we have George Stern, top 5 projection. Usually that's pretty good. We got BC, B pass block there, AA on Ellison, but D run block kind of sucks. Quincy Dalton. At face value, this guy here actually might be one of the better ones. Of course, the bench press is absolutely butt cheeks. Okay. I think, honestly, we just go with the top 5 pick. When in doubt, usually these guys kind of pan out. Helps that he is elite excited. Yeah, that's who we're going. There you go. Great. No dev trait. Awesome. Great. Our first pick for the Carolina Panthers, and for this, because this isn't really a rebuild from the stand, let's go super depth to the draft. I'll just usually show recaps outside of the first round, but this is our first pick in the second round for the Carolina Panthers, where we whiffed on a player with no dev trait for Houston. We get one at a big-time position of need for the Panthers at wide receiver to give CJ Stroud some more weapons. And Terrell Burke, 6 feet tall, 206 out of the U. Hidden dev with 95 acceleration, 92 agility, 91 speed, A spec catch, B medium route running, little bit of a gamble with the C catching, but the athleticism was good in a weak class in terms of athletes. And I'm not expecting any crazy rating, but I'll take a hidden dev every day of the week to pair with Mingo. I'm just going to bring it back here to the 4th round because I need a nose tackle. This might be the first player that I've seen over 400 pounds. I thought 400 was like the limit. Henry Horton, 6'3", 404 with 46 reps on the bench press. Finally a stud. Go to Carolina on top of that wideout with the hidden dev. 98 strength. What a monster. Day 1 starter. So looking at our draft recap, starting here with Carolina and Terrell Burke in the 2nd round. 77 hidden dev. Arguably going to be one of the best players in this draft. If not, maybe the best value pick. Getting a... I thought the rating was not going to be that good. I thought he was going to be like 72 hidden dev. 77. He walks in likely as our wide receiver 1. Our go-to target year 1. We got Christian Myers here in the 3rd round, 73 normal dev tight end, but given the state of our tight end room, likely also going to be a starter. The 400-pound monster, Henry Wharton, highlights and kind of rounds out the last of our great picks here with Carolina. 400 pounds, 74 hidden dev. He is going to be a day 1 starter. Rest of the draft, just some depth guys for sure, but really happy with those first 3 picks. In the case of the Texans, with a top 10 pick, hitting a 73 normal. Not our best selection in the grand scheme. Not brutal, but that's not necessarily up to my personal standard. 2nd round, we got Tyrell Kitchen, 77 hidden dev corner. Really easy selection. Get another long-term corner that can play with Derek Stingley. 77 with hidden dev, 95. It's just one of those, like, you know, I went default Madden draft class, so there was 10 corners that all look like they'd be freaks. And we finished out with our last of our highlight pick. A lot of just, I'm not going to lie, sim that out once the draft board kind of got shot to bed here. But Dean at a Notre Dame, 73 normal dev wide receiver in the 3rd round. Nice little slot guy. Can maybe learn a thing or two from Bobby Trees as a rookie. I'm going to bring it back here for just 1 second. Obviously, we just simmed through the preseason here. And what I found conveniently as a UDFA signing. Didn't draft him, or else I would have just dropped my jaw when I was looking at my draft class. We got an 85 rookie punter. 85. Sean Ballmer. 80. I'm always more. Why is this guy a star dev? You're going to generate an 85 punter with 99 accuracy, 97 power. Why is he just a star dev? That's, you know, I think that, is that generational? Do you think a dev trait should be connected to whether a player is generational or not? But that is ridiculous. The midway point here for the Carolina Panthers in year 2. Pretty solid, 4-3. Offense ranks 20th in the league. CJ Stroud is about middle of the park here. 15th in yards, 15th in touchdowns. The 2 picks, not turn the ball over. And I'm not expecting him to have ridiculous production early on. We're still working on building the offense up. All right, we got Mingo who's getting a little bit more production. Our rookie Terrell Burke, 350 yards, is a star dev, so nothing crazy on the dev trait there, but the chemistry with CJ Stroud does look pretty good. One thing I did see when I was upgrading our squad is our 400-pound freak of nature, Henry Wharton, did pop with a superstar dev, so that's pretty badass. Looking at the Houston Texans, 3-5, a little bit slower of a grind, but everyone else in the division's kind of on 3. We're only 2 games back from the Titans, so who says we can't get hot and put it together? But look at the offense, 6th offensively in the NFL, so maybe we're actually getting a little bit more here out of Bryce Young. Look at that, 5th in yards, 10th in touchdowns. Interceptions is still a little bit high, but I think, year 1, clear advantage goes to Stroud. Year 2 so far, and as long as he doesn't shit the bed down the stretch, could go to Bryce Young, which is what I want to see. I want to see a competitive challenge, not just it to be completely one-sided either way. In this case, Dameon Pierce running hard, the receiving, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Both these guys on pace for 1,000 yards this season. That'd be cool. Wow, year 2, and the Panthers, who were somewhat promising, finish with 4 wins and a lot of losses. And the offense, that was honestly better than expected last year, kind of maybe regressed back to the mean as CJ Stroud, in the 20s. Interceptions are still not brutal. 22 touchdowns to 7 picks, 3,200 yards. Not exactly the kind of passing offense that we are seeing out of CJ Stroud IRL right now with the Houston Texans. Feels like he gets like 300 a week. Sanders went over 1,000. No 1,000-yard receivers. Terrell Burke, that's a respectable, potentially offensive rookie of the year type season out of our top pick there in the 2nd round. But, man, you just got to, we'll show a little of the defense in case we have any breakouts. But, goddamn, man, it is hard. It is hard out there. Simmons as a 3-4 defense. And offensively, man, not really what we were looking for, man. What do we got for Houston? And not much better, as the Texans also get 4 wins. All right, let me know in the comments below which one of these teams is going to be the first to make the playoffs. I'm going to go Houston. But, man, oh, man, what are we doing here? Bryce Young starting to put it a little bit more output in both touchdowns, yards, and interceptions over CJ Stroud. The offense here, Dameon Pierce had a great year. Tank Dell, solid. Nico Collins, solid. Schultz, so, that's 4 deep across the board. Defensively, though, no sacks, man. Why? I picked, was I wrong? Are both is Carolina and Houston just terrible sim teams in Madden 24? Because I thought we'd start to see, what are the rookie of the year real quick? What are the award winners before they get locked for some reason at the end of the year? AFC, got Rashae Rice going off. But we had nothing there defensively. Ugh, okay. What about in the NFC? Anything for our beloved Panthers on the other side? Well, Terrell Burke was runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So him on that star dev, it would have been really, really nice for him to win the award. Might bring him up to Superstar and give CJ Stroud a Superstar target. Okay, back to the drawing board. As we go to free agency, we're going to be going a lot more on the side of the Panthers for how we want to spend our money. As we're going to swing here. We're not going to go and overpay ridiculous amount of money, but we got someone like Creed Humphrey. You don't really want to pay a lot for a center, but that is such a interesting find in free agency, and we desperately need a center here. So we're going to try to do that, and I always just kind of feel like for Carolina, how much of their playbook is still tied to having a really good running back, having that Christian McCaffrey type running back that we're just not getting out of Miles Sanders. So I'm going to see if we can get Chubb. Again, it looks like we're spending $1 trillion, but the reality is I'm just going with medium bids for Chubb and Humphrey. We're going to look at Kadarius Toney. Was great for us 2 years ago in our main channel Panther franchise. He can come in, be that wide receiver 3, and we can grow and develop with Burke, our second-round pick, who's a baller, Mingo, and Toney. And I'm going to look at Jedrick Wills, and we're going to get him and kick him into one of the guard spots. I had one outstanding bid. Okay, we're going to lose time. I don't want to pay a lot for a center. It's the least important offensive line position for the sim. We get Chubb, Toney, and Wills. And we went after one player for the Houston Texans. It was Lynn McNeil, the D-tackle, formerly of the Lions, and we land him. That's a good gift for their defense. Now, time for another stellar draft, hopefully, with really high picks for both these teams. So we got picks 2 and 4 for our respected squads. And first up at pick 2 for the Carolina Panthers, our needs, we need a center, tight end, 3-4 defensive end, edge rusher, and a corner. I'm not going to get center or tight end at pick 2. There's no Marcus House in this year's draft class. I think at this spot, this is where you got to look for an edge rusher. This is where you got to look for a shutdown corner. Usually you'd want to go edge rusher if you had, a slight preference because you can get corners, better value a little bit later on. We have Jake Dempsey here out of Auburn. Doesn't look anything crazy at all. Not a good athlete. The stats don't look great. Even the hidden stats that you got to look in don't, like B pursuit, C power, C tackle. Looks a little bit like a bust. And on the other side, we have Derek Jones, who looks a little bit better. He does have a finesse move, C power. You want to see some elite. Top 5 in the 43 cone and 20-yard shuttle is not bad. B awareness, B play rec, C, B pursuit, A finesse move. Not bad. I mean, doesn't scream like a guy that I would trade up for if I was looking on the outside, but that might just be the de facto pick that we need to go to. I do think the best of the first pass rushers that I saw, one is Kyle Austin here, is A pursuit, 6'4", 251. Decent athletically, obviously not compared to off-ball linebackers, which is always kind of what happens here. But A power move, A finesse, A awareness. I do think if we go edge, it would be Austin. But I think the strength of this class, and the strength of usually almost any class that you just let generate, is the corner room. But there's not much there in the first round. Could be some good. I think with this spot, maybe we go with a little bit of a hot take here. Not in love with the pick, but we get a pass rush on the other side of Brian Burns. We're going to go Kyle Austin in the first round here, out of South Carolina. Looks, hey, got the hidden depth. That's all you can ask for. Now for the Houston Texans, this is a squad that the roster itself is a little bit more complete. On the defensive side, we could use a middle linebacker. You get those later on. We need a D tackle to put with Lynn McNeil, our loan signing in free agency. However, the D tackles, they don't look anything too crazy. Sean Price out of Central Florida is the best of the bunch. 3 Bs. They're pretty respectable combine. Doesn't look like a guy you get top 5, right? That just needs to be kind of point blank period. We also could use corner. Doesn't look like a ridiculously cheesy corner class either. I'd love to see a guy that has 3 A's, and this is an easy slam dunk top 5 pick. So I then de facto to the fact that we need another wide receiver to get 3 deep at the wide receiver core, and we have a top 5 projected pick still on the board. Brian Allen out of Texas Tech, B deep at running, B release. Combine, well, the straight line speed, the 40 is not what you want to fall in love with. The 3 cone, the 20-yard shuttle, check out. The elite acceleration, the elite agility, check out. This is, it's one of those awkward spots where I have 2 swings at top 5 picks, and there doesn't appear to be a generational guy amongst the bunch. But we're just going to go kind of with the high ceiling, more safer picks. And Brian Allen there rolls a hidden dev. 95 acceleration, 95 agility, 91 speed. It's not bad for a guy that ran a 4.53, I think it was, 4.53, 4.51. And that just kind of completes the wide receiver core for Bryce Young there in Houston. Between Brian Allen, we got Nico Collins, who's frustratingly not been able to get off that normal dev, and of course Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz. Take a peek at our draft recap for both of our squads, trying to help them make a freaking leap in terms of just their record, because it has not been the best. And take a look at the Panthers. Pretty stacked draft outside of the sim going off of my favorites board, which they did give me a 70 running back, a 76 Quinton Hall hidden dev linebacker out of Florida State. We'll toss that one up to the sim. But we did get in the 3rd round, we need corner help for sure. And I got Enrique Brown, no dev trait, but still 75 for a base rating. Not too shabby, especially given the fact that there wasn't really any clear and obvious stud in the corner class like there usually tends to be. But Kyle Austin for as much of a blind pick, rolling with a 76 hidden dev pass rush that, again, we can put on the other side of Brian Burns. That is a big-time dub. But how much are these guys going to truly help the offense? And CJ Stroud, obviously not so much, but a good defense, always in a roundabout way, will eventually help a good offense. But look at this draft for Houston. Brian Allen, top 5 true talent. And boy, oh boy, is he ever that. A chance at being generational, depending on what that dev trade is. 81 hidden dev. And he's, I feel decent about that because he's not just a freak of nature athlete that we just fell in our lap. Had to take a little bit of a leap of faith. Really good stats across the board. He might very well be wide receiver 1 sooner or later. We got Gerald Harrison, D-tackle in the second round, to pair with Lynn McNeil, kind of putting together finally that defensive line. He is 75 with a hit index, so that is great complimentary option there. We got Johnny Hauser, 75 linebacker in the third round, only a normal dev, but that is kind of just rounding out the linebacking core. We got Gabe Pryor in the fourth, 71 normal dev out of Bama. Nice little bit of a value pick. Another 70 corner late. We're crushing the drafts here. I'm still surprised. We've yet to see really any sustained team success through 2 years, but year 3, year 4, that's when everything starts to come together. Again, which team is going to make the playoff first? I might need to pivot. I think it might be Carolina. We're year 3, about as midway as you can get in a 5-year rebuild. So let's get a recap of where the squads are at right now. Here is a look with CJ Stroud, who's playing with the boost, a 95 superstar. We've gone ahead, added Nick Chubb to the backfield just to see if there's that element of Christian McCaffrey. You need a superstar playbook in this Panthers offense. We got Burke, we got Mingo, we got Tony. Tight end, gambling on the rookie. Offensive line, the addition of Wills and Cleveland in free agency, helping it out. Again, don't really worry about the center too much. So the offense looks really solid. Defensively, we got Austin to help with the pass rush here. Front 7 also helps. We got that 400-pound superstar, which is an absolute monster. Definitely want to continue to attack the secondary. Couldn't find a safety in terms of like having a complete lineup. Actually, that's a lie because you could just move Jeremy Chin to free safety. Don't need Von Bell being a depth guy, even though we might utilize a little bit of 3 safety sets when we're in nickel. Let's go ahead and move Jeremy Chin. Look there. That looks good. That is a defense that is at worst in this team overall. That is a playoff squad in the NFC. In turn, looking at our Houston Texans squad. Offensively, the O-line is coming along. Drafted Stern in the first round. Wasn't our best pick, but I mean, he's going to develop nicely in come year 5. He's going to be in the 80s, which is more than serviceable enough to be a starting right tackle. We got Schultz. We got Young, Damian Pierce. Wide receiving core, Tank Dell, Allen, the first round pick. And I just think because there's no dev trait, we'll move Collins back to the slot. But I think offensively, you got to give the edge. You know what, with Nick Chubb going to Carolina, it's close, but I still think I would give the slight edge here to the Houston Texans. Defensively, we have Harrison and Lynn McNeil, we signed in free agency, Anderson and Grenard. This D-line needs to start getting some pressure. Point blank period. The sacks have not been there, especially for a guy as talented as Will Anderson. That is hurting. Front 7, we got Harris up to a superstar. Hauser was a great value. Cashman solid. Ward and Petrie in the safety. Stingley's developing nicely. And look at our pick last year, Kitchens, tripped as an X factor. You love to see that. I don't think he got it from winning Rookie of the Year or anything like that. Look, yeah, no Rookie of the Year. He's straight up an X factor out the box. That is a very, very good pick, even though I'd rather, if we're drafting an X factor in this rebuild, because it's focused on the offense. I'd love Allen to be an X factor, put it that way. I'd rather get the offensive side of the ball. But I'm going to say on paper, I think this Houston squad is a little bit better. It's close. It's close, but I think we should potentially have both these teams making their first playoff appearance here in year 3. All right, midway point, we're going to take a look at the Houston Texans this time. Stop always just showing bias love to go in the Panthers first. 4-2, game behind the Colts for first place in the South. Offensively, though, very, very, I mean, we're running the ball well. In terms of passing and Bryce Young, not the hottest. Defense is playing like a top 10 unit with Bryce Young, 32nd in yard. Ooh. But hey, no picks, 8 touchdowns, no picks, and I assume that we are just seeing big time, almost 100 yards for Damian Pierce. That's fine. At this point here, I'm not going to be trying to, let's get Bryce Young and CJ Stroud playing like MVPs. We just need some postseason success. And the same kind of ballpark-wise as Carolina. They're 4-4, 2 games back within the division, so still plenty to play for. Offensively, yeah, damn, definitely not even getting much of a bump up from the addition of Nick Chubb. Under center. Defense, not so hot either. CJ Stroud, 12th in yards, which is not bad. 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. So both quarterbacks are not turning the football over, which is good. But I did not think any way, shape, or form that Damian Pierce would be gapping Nick Chubb in terms of production the way that he is right now. God damn. Not. Maybe we're gonna have the playoff drought continue into year 4 with both these teams and both these quarterbacks and both these offenses kind of underwhelming. Let's go into the season, and Houston finally makes the playoffs, 11-6 here in year 3. Offensively, not brutal, 20th. The rushing offense, very good, and with our giveaways, very protective of the football. was Bryce Young. We finished 20th in yards, 13th in tutties, 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 5 picks. Dameon Pierce, ridiculous season. Tank Dell goes over 1,000. Allen, our top 5. Give me superstar. Give me star dev. Come on. Anytime you draft a player that's over an 80 with a dev trade, if they're not anything better than a star, it's a little bit of a wet fart. Defensively, the sacks continue to just be non-existent on this squad. Shout out to Lim McNeil doing his best from that D tackle spot. But hell of a year, finally. We make the playoffs. Shout out Houston. Oh shit, the Panthers did it too. Let's go, 11-6. Hell yeah. Offensively, kind of butt cheeks. Defensively, top 10 defense. CJ Stroud, 29th in yards, 26. I mean, again, at least, the interceptions are cut down. They're protecting the football. They're running the ball. Nick Chubb finished strong. Way better than where he was at the halfway point. No 1,000-yard receiver. Just a little bit of a wet fart, to be honest with you. All passing offense, kind of underwhelming. On the pass rush style, we got Derek Brown, 14 sacks, 7 for Brian Burns, 6.5 for Kyle Austin, who is also a star def. Okay, my first-round picks have not been money in this rebuild. Luckily, it's not a traditional rebuild where I'd really be feeling this on one individual team, but very happy that both of these squads made the playoffs. And the answer, it was a push. When I was saying predict which team would make it. Let's go see who can go the furthest. First round, we got tough matchups either way. Houston against Buffalo, Carolina against San Francisco. The Niners absolutely clap our cheeks, 35-7. Hey, let's go back to Houston as they win 21-14 over Buffalo as the 5 seed in a matchup that was not particularly good by Bryce Young. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Not really a lot from the rushing game, but look at that. Allen, the first-round pick, 90 yards and a tutty, 140 and a tutty for Tank Dell. Can they be a Cinderella team here in year 3? So in the divisional round, they're taking on the 11-6 Vegas Raiders, who have a top 8 offense. However, their defense kind of butt cheeks, so things could open themselves up for Bryce Young to have another stellar day. Hopefully, there's no 2 turnovers, no 2 interceptions. Ooh, and it is a close loss as the Texans bow out in the second round, 28-25. Baker Mayfield and Bryce Young kind of going at there. Bryce Young, I mean, didn't hurt the team. Didn't really elevate the team. Dameon Pierce over 100 yards. Dalton Schultz, 2 tuds. Defense, the pass rush continues to be a glaring, especially with the talent that we have, glaring issue here for this Texans squad. Damn. All right. Well, at least we saved ourselves of, just losing badly to the Chiefs and chance to go to the Super Bowl, I guess. All right, there's no way around it. I am spending a lot of money, or at least trying to. For the Houston Texans, I went in on Micah Parsons and Javon Holland. For the Carolina Panthers, we've gone after Deron Bland, Justin Matabuke, and Connor Williams at center. So we got 2 strikes. So we get our DN, we get our center. Now, the only bummer is we just don't have a crazy amount of money here to get in a gigantic bidding war for Deron Bland, but we'll try. We'll put forth the biggest offer that I think we could potentially try. He does not go with our team. Now, we went after Javon Holland and Micah Parsons with the Houston Texans. Holland, because that's the biggest need for Houston. They need a safety. Parsons is just more so, I feel good with the D-line. The sacks just have not been there. So we're trying to see. And we get Micah Parsons and Javon Holland for the Texans. They went on a Cinderella run the playoffs year 3. Year 4, with these 2 signings, they might be the favorite in the AFC. I mean, outside of Kansas City, of course. So highlighting the first round of the draft for both their squads for the Carolina Panthers did not have the same free agency success the Houston Texans did. So we're looking really to upgrade the tight end spot if there's like a big-time tight end in this draft, which, Zach Mooney looks like the best of the bunch. A, catch of traffic, B, run block, but is he going to be, he needs to pull a dev trade. He needs to be like a superstar dev player. And maybe that athleticism is pretty good. We also need corner help in a big way. And look at the available corners here. Some all right ones. This guy here, Vincent Goodwin out of Mizzou. A man, B press. If the athleticism off the charts is going to give us a question. Athleticism is not there. And I think because we need the kick in the ass offensively, let's go with Zach Mooney at tight end here. For the big pick for the Panthers, give me... There's no def. Great. Cool. For our first pick of the Texans, no needs whatsoever. We handled our business in free agency, so really we're in a spot where we can go just BPA. And I do think, BPA for our squad Maybe if there was like a good wide receiver. I mean, this guy here looks 6'4", 224. Don't really need any more weapons. But ooh, that guy is better than I expected. Is there like a stud on the offensive line here? Vinny Springs, AA, but not the stats you want to look for here. At least the stats that you get unveiled. A pass block for Jay Gross. Tackle. Well, I don't want to give up on our other attack. Ty Johnson looks like we don't need a DN, especially after landing Micah Parsons. Good year to get a D tackle, but we have a Lim McNeil who we just paid. That linebacker looks pretty good. Our linebackers are kind of old. They also have Vincent Goodwin there. And you know what? Let's go with this. Let's go with the corner, the other pick. Stay on brand here. And of course, this one here gets a dev. Everything has gone much more in favor of Houston Texans in this rebuild. We get a little something good here for Carolina. Second round, Byron Ali, corner out of Washington. We need some corner help. Roll the dev trade. Fire the Panthers, get a good pick. Look at the draft cap for the Panthers. 75 for Mooney. Ratings at least solid enough for me not to be truly disappointed with that first round pick with a normal dev. He's only, 2 points behind the tight end that we currently have. So he will be a day one starter. We'll put him in a spot that potentially could get him into that offensive rookie of the year conversation, which gives you that dev trade. Ali in the second round, great value, getting a 75 hidden dev corner. He is going to play day one. Houston Texans. We got Goodwin, who we just, that was almost like a settle. Like, we pondered this guy potentially going to the Carolina Panthers, and then decided just a couple picks later, we'll get him with Houston. He'll be involved in the video. Stud. 76 hidden dev for Vincent Goodwin. He is probably going to be corner 3. Might see the field as a rookie as well. Snapshot year 4 for the Carolina Panthers, trying to build off of last year's playoff success. Offensively, we had Connor Williams at center, 85 center. Hopefully that might make a little bit of difference, but overall the offensive line looks solid. We have Mooney, our first round pick, that is going to get the start at tight end, but again, we are chasing that offensive rookie of the year nod so that he can get off that normal dev trade. But CJ Stroud, almost a 99 overall. He is going to have to pull his weight this year and play like a almost 99 overall quarterback. Matabuke on the defensive line really makes a nice front 3. The front 7 as a whole, even though the linebackers aren't spectacular, very optimistic. Secondary is solid as well. Horn, Brown, our top pick, top value corner that we got in the draft last year, got a dev trade. He's 78 star, and Ali there will get the start as a rookie. Optimistic again, this should be a playoff caliber squad. After the offseason, they did have the big expectations definitely fall on this Texans squad to go further in the playoffs. Offensively, not a lot of big changes, just essentially running it back with the same squad. The big boost was for our top 5 projected pick last year, Brian Allen, who did get Offensive Rookie of the Year, therefore got the superstar dev that we're trying to chase with Mooney, the tight end, for the Carolina Panthers. But that is a big get for this offense, but the defense is where we really just flexed our muscles here a little bit. Adding Javon Holland to pair that with Jalen Petrie in the secondary. Adding Micah Parsons to what is an outstanding defensive line. A secondary that is going crazy. This should be a team that not only... I think the expectations for Carolina is, just make the playoffs again. Expectations for Houston is, can we beat the Chiefs and be the 1 seed in the AFC? So after going on getting Micah Parsons... Javon Holland, building off of a squad that went to the divisional round. We are 1-6. Somehow. Year 4 of 5. We built this team 3 years. We're 1-6. Not only 1-6, we have no money to pay Shaq Mason and, more importantly, Laramie Tunsil. Cool. On the other side, Panther, what the fuck, man? 3-4. Top 10 offense. Throw me a bone, EA. Throw me a bone. Even better. Yeah, I got not even $1 million of salary cap. Awesome. Somehow, someway, the Panthers finished 12-5, which I was literally getting ready just to go off. There was a rant. There was a rant in the chamber here of I spent my day kind of coming up with a decent idea, drafting really well, having good free, and just for nothing to make sense with my team. But luckily we go 12-5 with Carolina. Finish with a top 5 defense, almost top 10 offense. Nice. Mr. Stroud played still pretty average, to be honest with you, but 25 touchdowns, 5 picks, 3,500 yards. Nick Chubb did Nick Chubb things. No 1,000-yard receiver, because, of course, can't have exciting things happen in the sim. Defensively, Justin Madubuike, 10 sacks, 8.5 for Burns, 6.5 for Kyle Austin. Not brutal. Got a little bit of a pass rush going on. But in something that is simply inexcusable, the Texans go 8-9. There is no way. If this was any sim team that signed both Javon Holland and Micah Parsons, they would have made the playoffs. That's just how Madden works. Absolutely disgusting that this team did not make the playoffs. You know, what do I do? What does Madden want me to do? Like, I need to go literally sit in the EA headquarters and say, hey, I'm a content creator. I play franchise. So you guys can you just make it so, like, I don't have to, if I want to have exciting, interesting content, make the fucking every playbook Kansas City, make every defensive play like that. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? We're fighting the fight, though. We're going to fight the fight. We're going to make it work here with the Texans and Panthers playbook. This whole thing is on the fact that they're both not meta playbooks. Which quarterback can truly rise to the top? Dameon Pierce had a hell of a year. No 1,000-yard receivers. Very disappointing numbers there for sure. Defensively, our pass rush, like Will Anderson, I guess, just isn't good in the eyes of Madison. That's brutal. But Micah Parsons definitely lived up to the billing, the top premier price that we paid. And now our inability to pay Laremy Tunsil is to have Micah Parsons do things like this. So that's good, but no playoffs. Year 4, maybe it's just a year 4 weird thing, but all eyes shift back to the Panthers, who are going to try to go on a run here in the NFC side of the bracket. The first round of the playoffs is a divisional matchup. 1 versus 3 in the NFC South. Pretty much, solid similar offenses, both really good defense. Number 5 defense in Carolina, number 4 defense in Atlanta, which is surprising. Usually Atlanta has a cheesy offense, not great defense, but we handle business. 38-15, set up a matchup against the Giants with a player of the week performance by Brian Burns, getting 2 sacks on Desmond Ridder. You gotta wonder, even though he didn't get player of the week, Jalen Hurts you gotta wonder that CJ Stroud played decent, right? I want to see 38 points, because we are focusing on the quarterbacks. What do we got? Hell yeah. I mean, the interception, not crazy yards, because, again, of course, we can't have crazy yards, but not bad. 3 tutties. I'll take 3 tuts. And we got a winnable matchup. And there's no Cowboys. There is still the Chiefs, but I'll worry about that if we can make the Super Bowl here on a Cinderella run. There's no Cowboys, which is a win. Yes, Philadelphia Eagles are a talented roster, but Madden Sim doesn't think so. So I think that, as you can tell by the fact A.J. Brown never gets over 1,000 yards. But we got a matchup here against the Giants, who usually tend to sim pretty well. Ugly. Ooh, and we don't even have to worry about the Eagles. We got an ugly win. 13-7, but NFC Championship bound. Here we were gashing up the Texans to be in this position, but it was the Panthers and CJ Stroud. Like, what is this sim, man? He's a 99 quarterback. Fucking 104 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. What is he, Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco? 100 yards, Nick Chubb. Shout out Stabby. Joe Flacco. Kyle Austin, 2 sacks. I mean, the defense. Defense absolutely should have, but, just what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Make players play to their ratings. There's no way around it. The sim, playbook sim, all that, it's better this year than it was last year. Last year was brutal. But it's still just, they need to, complete, and they're never going to do it because they're lazy fucks. But they need to completely revamp how the sim works. I think that's something that's, once the PC mods and stuff PC mods have done a lot of great for gameplay. Once the PC mods for sim kind of catch up to that and give you, I just want my players to play their rating. If I have a 99 quarterback, it shouldn't fucking matter what my playbook is. My 99 quarterback shouldn't be a liability. And that is what my 99 quarterback has been right there in the biggest game of the year. 100 yards, no touchdowns. He's 99 overall. That is, at minimum, give him at least 200 yards pass. Give him at least 1 throwing touchdown. Is that too much to fucking ask? God damn it, man. It's that time. It's the time of the year where, the shine of is what it is. Let's see if we make sure we got Detroit here. What do they got? Top 20 offense, number 1 defense in the league. Okay. This is a situation, if I'm going against the number 1 defense, or Atlanta, that had the number 4 defense, and my quarterback didn't have, oh, fuck yeah, we won. My quarterback didn't have a big game, I'd go, you know what? Let's just toss up to the fact that we went up against an elite defense, right? That can happen. But, what are these it's the pedestrian numbers. That is truly shocking. And I think to just end this rant before I just swear too much, and as we go, of course, Kansas City Chiefs can't wait. The biggest issue, I guess, that I have, and I'm preaching to the choir because there's no way that I'm the only one that feels this way. I assume most people that watch my car. I try my best under the hood, make every video as exciting as possible, right? But there just comes a point where it's like literally if I took this exact same roster, their exact same ratings, and I gave them the Dallas Cowboys offense, right? We'd be sitting here going, holy shit, CJ Stroud won his third MVP as a 99 X Factor. Like that, whatever, like that, the fact that that exists, and that is how this whole thing is built off of, a system that is so tied just to a playbook, that if I literally just tabbed over to the Dallas Cowboys in a fucking menu, that my team would play so much better, so much more exciting, that is a problem. That is the biggest problem, I think, facing franchise mode. And I think, honestly, features, everything else needs to go under the bridge for our big wish for Madden 25. The number one thing is they need to come out and say, we've completely overhauled the sim, and like you don't have to necessarily throw the existing system under the bus. But if we don't get a tagline that's in the same realm of the phrase player ratings matter more than ever, like that is how you can brand franchise mode in Madden 25. If they come out and say in Madden 25 franchise mode player ratings matter more than ever, and that is all we need to hear to say that we moved off of this bullshit playbook based system, man. Anyways, let's go get our cheeks clapped by the Chiefs here. Or, well, I'm in a little bit of negative, triggered mood right now. We get this Super Bowl win. All right, we're going to get a second win here for the 5th and final year. But look at that, just a lot of nothing happening. Good defensive battle. We do strike first with the first touchdown, but of course, as soon as we score a touchdown, you know Kansas City needs to equalize. You get a turnover there. Come on. 99 overall quarterback. Come on. Team on your back. 14. Oh, we got a chance. End of game drive here. Marching our way down. We get the touchdown. There's no way. There's no way after all this back and forth of Kansas City got 17 points. What are the odds they're going to march down the field, 2-13, get a touchdown with all 3 of their timeouts still left? Oh! Oh, am I in fucking psychic? How did that happen? There is no way with 43 seconds left they're going to force this game to overtime. Oh, they turn it over. Let's go. See, I told you. I was getting ready to trigger that. I was getting ready to go off. Yes, good things can't happen. CJ Stroud, if you commented that you were Team Stroud in this situation, Team Carolina, Team Stroud, you might have got a little worried when you saw me bring out the checkbook and get Micah Parsons on the Houston Texans. But boy, oh boy, did we get the job done there. Not a great showing, to be honest. 300 yards, 1 touchdown. But 72% completion percentage, protected the football. And the Carolina Panthers are Super Bowl champions. I guess now we just need the dream scenario. Year 5 of this. Let's get that Panthers-Texans Super Bowl all lined up. Start of the offseason, a lot of work to do. Especially because this team was supposed to be the team that went on to win the Super Bowl. Didn't even make the playoffs. We had to restructure pretty much every contract on the team to come with a even remotely competitive offer for Laremy Tunsil. But we really need him to stick with the team. We're able to get him to sign the dotted line. For free agency, we have zero money with the Houston Texans. For the Carolina Panthers, corner is still a position that I would like to get a player, and the best corner available is Awuzie for a 1 year at 32. Not too bad. Nice veteran presence in the back end of the defense. Let's go right to the draft. Take a look at the draft recap here for the Panthers. Pretty good haul, especially on the offensive line here. We got Matt Baldwin at center. Just kind of going BPA, 75 with a hidden dev. And we got McCauley, 75. Normal dev, but now we get anything 70 plus, you got to feel pretty good about that. The Houston Texans, also, pretty solid down the stretch. 74 wide receiver, Noel, late, normal dev at Penn State. We got a 73 center, which is a need. They need some interior help, especially after losing a guard in Kenyon Green to free agents. Had no money to pay him after paying Laremy Tunsil. We got some defensive end depth because obviously this team may be more so long-term. Not going to be able to afford probably Will Anderson with how we kind of constructed the roster. Same goes for Ciante Cole in terms of a pass rush. But reality is these drafts don't really matter for these squads. They are ready to go, primed to go, and hopefully clang and bang in the Super Bowl against each other. Houston with Bryce Young, Carolina with CJ Stroud. Let's make it happen, Sim. Please don't just be like, this is the perfect time, especially for how things have gone. Just be like, oh, both these teams don't make the playoffs, and it's a Chiefs-Cowboys Super Bowl. In year 5, we're going to start with the defending Super Bowl champion Panthers squad. 99 Stroud. The offense ready to run it back. It's the offense we all know and love. No one lost. Defense ready to just run it back, be monsters. We got Brian Burns back up to a superstar dev. Secondary looks real solid across the board. Definitely good enough to represent the NFC a back-to-back season in the Super Bowl. Now looking at the Texans. Somehow 1 overall point less than Carolina. I still think that this roster, I mean, the offensive line took a gigantic hit. And obviously because we decided to splurge on Micah Parsons and Javon Holland, we're kind of giving up a little bit here on the offense. But skill position-wise, get the ball out quickly. Get the ball out quickly. We should be able to survive here with 94 superstar Bryce Young. The defense is absolutely insane. Across the board, this should be the #1 defense in the NFL. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Will Anderson, superstar, 92, 99, Micah Parsons, secondary, 91, 91, 85, 95. Linebackers don't really matter. And even then, our linebacker core is solid. Come on, baby. Give me the dream Super Bowl. Give me what I want. Then year 5 for the Houston Texans. And Bryce Young, 16-1. Where has this been? Who's the one? We beat the Chiefs. And we lost late to the Atlanta Falcons. But just a ridiculous season. We beat the Panthers, head up, 17-10. And finally, this super team that we've built in Houston after 5 years. Really 3 years of being an elite team and not playing like it. Give us a little something here at the depth of this video. 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 5 picks for Bryce Young. Dameon Pierce was a monster. Brian Allen was a monster. Tank Dell going over 1,000 yards. Defensively, I'm expecting some pretty big numbers here. Oh, nope. Micah Parsons, 9.5, 8 there. I'll take the record, though. How are the defending Super Bowl champion Carolina Panthers looking like? And your defending Super Bowl champion team goes 5-12. And doesn't make the play. I mean, at least we got a shot for both teams to win one. CJ Stroud, 3,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, 4 picks, 1,011 for Nick Chubb. No 1,000-yard receiver. Burke, solid. Defensively, we got 11.5 sacks, Derek Brown, 9.5 Matabuke, 8 for Ryan versus the pass rush. He's figuring out 2-4 picks for Horn Dog there. Career stats for CJ Stroud, if he ended up here in this hypothetical, 16,000 yards passing, 113 tutties to 30 picks to go along with 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns. Successful Super Bowl win as well, which gives him the edge unless Bryce Young can do something crazier this year. But also, I mean, maybe slightly underwhelming numbers. Wasn't ever really in an MVP conversation, so it's a little bit of a bummer. But let's finish out year 5 here with the Houston Texans on their 16-1 regular season run. Can they seal the deal and win a Super Bowl? Bryce Young in his career, for context, pretty similar. 18,000 yards passing, 130 touchdowns, 52 picks. So a little bit more in the interception, a little bit more for Bryce Young in terms of rushing numbers. But at this point here, the only way for him to break even if he won like an MVP and went off this year, he needs that Super Bowl. So 16-1, we start against the Jags, where we bring the #2 offense. Jags have #7. Do we have the #2 defense? That's a tough matchup. That is not... I'm not going to rage, I guess, if we lose one, because we're evenly matched. 89 overall against 89 overall. But I'd like to think that if we go 16-1 in the regular season, we are not going to pull a Dallas Cowboy and be one and done in the playoffs. One and done in the playoffs. So you know what? This ends up going to be it's an overtime loss. It was close. It wasn't on Bryce Young. But this ends up, if you would have guessed that CJ Stroud is the winner before this started, like CJ Stroud's got to have a better career than Bryce Young over this 5-year period, regardless of what team he's going to be on. Or if you're even the camp that CJ Stroud and the Panthers is the winning combination, you would have been correct. Because when all is said and done, both these quarterbacks, solid careers, not ridiculous numbers, neither one of them MVP candidates. But at the end of the day, you ask either one of these fan bases, Houston and or Carolina, would you rather an MVP stat padding quarterback or a quarterback that can lead you to a Super Bowl title? You're taking the latter. You're taking the first ever franchise Super Bowl. Therefore, CJ Stroud is the winner in today's video. So that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, your first time stopping by, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. We're back with the next rebuild. Realistic rebuilds are coming in Madden 24. Hopefully, we can all deal with the playbooks and I don't lose my sanity. Just continue to do with this and the Madden. Well, we prove it. Like, sometimes it doesn't matter. We went 16-1 with this playbook, okay? You know, it doesn't always rely on the playbook. I just wish it wasn't so damn hard to compensate for not a meta, cheesy, overpowered playbook. That's... Maybe I need to just make a video on that. Maybe I need to spread awareness a little bit on like how that needs to be the #1 thing. Top of the bulletin board, top of the community requests for Madden 25, the next Madden. We need player ratings. We need that to matter more. We need drafting X factors, drafting good players, developing players to matter more than just switching your playbook to Dallas or Kansas City. Is it that much to ask? I don't know. We're going to end it there. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe if it's your first time stopping by. I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love. Yeah. Have a good one.